Part 26E, the expansion of the moon on the flat Earth. Remember, everything is life. And with life, everything grows. Everything.
So here again we see the confinement dome, the flip ring, and the choke ring. Particles of matter are drawn down into the magnetic ball and down to the flip ring. The particles of matter flip magnetic orientation at the flip ring and then become trapped under the confinement dome. As the matter continues to accumulate under the confinement dome, it causes the confinement dome to swell in size. In other words, the bubble is continually growing. There are times when the internal pressure of the bubble is too great and the magnetic bubble will fail at its weakest point. The choke ring may also allow some matter to escape out of the bottom of the bowl.
Okay, for all the thinkers out there, you might say, well, Brian, if the moon is a dome and you say it is expanding, then how come it isn't getting bigger in the sky? And then I'll say, well, that is a great question. And you'll be like, I got Brian on this one. His model is wrong. It ain't 100% correct. Then I'll say, because of the ice dome, it doesn't expand during the blue or red sky. It only expands during the changeover event due to the ice dome collapsing when the electromagnetic field reverses. King James Bible, Job 38:29. Out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frost of heaven, who hath gendered it? Whose womb? Mary's womb. I'll get to that later. King James Bible, Psalm 147:17. He casteth forth his ice like morsels. Who can stand before his cold? King James Bible, Revelation 16:21. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. So you might be asking yourself a question right now. Why is he talking about the ice dome on the moon and then pulling things up, which are pretty obvious that those falling ice during the changeover is from our dome down onto us? And I'll say, because you have to understand where the fixed and immovable moon is. It's just like the Earth. It does not rotate, it does not spin, and it is fixed. Just like all solid matter, it does not move. So why would they refer to it as for whose womb does the ice come from? It's because in pregnancy, before a child is born, the water will break. And everybody that's ever seen a woman give birth knows about the water breaking. So as they looked up into the sky, and the mother goddess, doesn't matter what you want to call her, Ishtar, Mary, doesn't matter, the mother goddess's water would break, and from that water came the plasma. And now, finally, the answer of what the Mara craters really are. They are the collapsed ice dome structure that happened at the top of the ice dome. These are collapsed ice domes that collapsed during the changeover and during the expansion. And then as it expanded in the changeover, because the expansion can only happen in the changeover because there's a physical barrier that's holding the pressure in that David LaPont doesn't understand. He only looks at it from the electromagnetic side, but this is a physical side. The ice dome keeps the expansion from happening during the red sky or the blue sky. The expansion can only happen when that physical barrier has been breached, has been opened up, and that's during the changeover. So what happens is these open up, and then water refills when it reforms and takes its natural process when it goes into the next sky. And then that water will freeze. And then there's a little bit of plasma discharge left over. That's why you'll see a little bit, just a few of the smaller craters that are formed from the plasma discharge on that frozen lake or whatever you want to call it. But that's just frozen water. That's why you see more of those electromagnetic discharge craters around that, because that's older ice and with some debris in there. Okay, on to something else here. Every once in a while, I get absolutely fantastic questions from an email or comment section about, usually it's about something that I didn't describe very well. And here's case in point, Jason R. Hey there, Brian. How's it going? My name is Jason. I stumbled upon your work about 2 weeks ago, and I've been catching up on Mia's work also. I've learned a lot. I have believed in a flat earth for about 2 years now. Anyway, on your latest video, I guess my question is, are those seasoned lakes that have froze on top of the moon dome? And here's my response. Good. Hi, Jason. Welcome. Good to hear. Congrats on getting away from the BS heliocentric model. Yes, frozen, along with everything at the bottom of their bowl, furthest away from their FP focal point. Pretty much always frozen except during changeover events. Haven't got to that yet in the series. This is Jason. Or they have always been frozen and were named sea and ocean because they were frozen bodies of water. Or are you inferring that they were at one time not frozen, but they were the waters above the moon dome structure and then froze? And this is my response. Watch part 16 on how the atmosphere is created by heat from focal point, then waters around that, and then the ice at the furthest points away from the focal point, closest to the electromagnetic dome. Now, I suggest everybody watch part 16 again so you understand that structure, because it's exactly the same structure and how the gas, water, and ice is formed on Earth and on the moon. This is Jason again. Didn't you say the moon is another structure, that there is 4 total? I guess one of the more difficult parts of this theory is having to go back into believing water can curve. I just spent the last 2 years realizing that water doesn't curve and trying to teach that to anybody that will listen. And this is from me. Yes, moon is another structure, but not part of the Vajra that has 4 domes. That is separate. Water can curve at the bottom of a bowl or glass. Water will always take the form of the container it is in. And that's a key thing that you have to understand in this, is that it's not on the outside, it's on the inside of the container. Then back to my reply. The electromagnetic bowl structure is the container for the water. You are looking at the glass through its transparent bottom, but the water is frozen there after Hell Week is over and the electromagnetic field is up and running again. Then the focal point takes form. The electromagnetic field repels water regardless of charge, hence water taking the bowl structure inside of the EM field. And then to his last point about people not listening, they'll still listen if you have the correct model and context. Me. This is Jason again. Sorry, I think I'm starting to ramble. I guess I have more questions than what I thought. Also, I think I need to watch some of the videos again and rewatch the primer fields. Thanks. And then my reply, no need to apologize. This is new to you. Good idea. Thanks, Brian. Okay, here is the structure. Now, I have not gone into this structure in detail in a video, and that's on purpose. I want people to look at this and I want them to think for themselves. Okay? And it can get confusing and it can get very frustrating at times, but here is the structure. Okay? Now, I'm not going to say exactly where everything's at yet because I'm going to do that in the next video. All right? But here is the structure. That's the structure. Look at it, memorize it, understand it, and then you'll see when I tell you where everything is in the next video.